So, good morning, students. And today we will, as we have completed our syllabus and revision is going on. So, today we will be revising with chapter the fundamental unit of life. Okay. So, let me share my screen with you all. Is my screen visible to you? Please give the remark in the chat box. Okay, yes, it is visible. Okay, I got the remark. Fine. Okay, yes. So students, before starting with the chapter cell, once again, first of all, as we are doing the revision of cell, anyone, what is cell? Anyone, what is cell? You just raise your hand so that I can unmute you. First of all, before starting with the revision of cell, let me recapitulate what is cell. Okay. Okay, Sagar, you can unmute yourself.
So, cell is a fundamental unit of life.
Okay, cell is the fundamental unit of life. Okay, Sagar. Okay, fine. Cell is the fundamental unit of life. Cell is a structural and functional unit of life. That is a fundamental unit of life. Very correct. And cell was discovered by Robert Brown. Cell was discovered by Robert Brown in 1665. And cell is that functional aspect, or we can say cell is that fundamental unit of life which can independently perform all necessary activities to sustain life. Okay. Now, we all know cell is a basic unit of life. And inside the cell, there are different parts performing different activities to keep the cell alive and functional. And these parts are called the cell organelle. That means if we are saying the cell to be the structural and functional unit of life, then definitely within the cell, there are the cell organelles or there are the cellular parts which will be governing the function of the cell, and they are called the cellular organelle. Now, here one image I have shared with you all. Here one image I have shared with you all, which shows the different, which shows the shape and size of the different cells. As now, students, you are familiar with the terms like the nerve cells, the muscle cells, the bone cells, the gland cells, and even the reproductive cells. So these are the different cells of the body and their structures are different. And for the cell to observe the structure of the cells, we need definitely the help of the microscope to observe the different cellular, or we can say structural aspects of the cell. So students, how can we define a cell organelle? Anyone, how we can define a cell organelle? Just yes, through the chat box also you can give me the response. Through the chat box you give me the response. Through chat box. Okay. 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 The organelle which helps the cell to perform The organelles which helps the cell to perform functions. Okay, fine. Okay, correct. Correct, Shubham. Correct, Shubham, correct. Okay. Okay, fine. Yes, correct. The organelles which keep or helps the cell to perform the different function, that is called the cell organelles. Correct. Okay. Okay, correct. Fine. Okay. Yes, definitely the part of the cells which, yes. Okay. Okay, understood. Yes, Jyoti, I have understood. Uh, okay. Yes. Okay, yes, your ID. Okay, Jyoti, I have understood. You can. Now, in the next step, or in the next slide, we will first go through the cell theory. Dutch microbiologist, that is Anton von Leeuwenhoek, who was the first to observe the bacteria and the protozoa. Leeuwenhoek made microscopes consisting of single high lenses of very short focal length, and it was Perkinsey who first introduced the term protoplasm. The protoplasm is a living part of the cell that is surrounded by the plasma membrane. So if you are saying the protoplasm to be the living part of the cell, which is surrounded by the plasma membrane, then definitely the protoplasm includes which two part of the cell? Because we are saying that the protoplasm is surrounded by the plasma membrane. Then which two part of the cell is, or we can say which two part of the cell is enclosed by the plasma membrane, which constitute the protoplasm? Through the chat box. Yes, students, again, I'm repeating the question. My question is protoplasm. My question is, students, again, I'm repeating the question, that which two parts of the cell constitute the protoplasm? Which two part of the cell constitute the protoplasm? Which two part of the cell constitute the protoplasm? Okay, the nucleus and the cytoplasm. Okay, fine. Yes, students, once again. Okay. Yes, once again, I would like to repeat the question. That is, which part is being enclosed, or which two components of the cell do we demarcate to be the constituent of the protoplasm? Okay, correct, Ayushi. The protoplasm consists of two major divisions in the eukaryote, the cytoplasm and the nucleoplasm. That is a cell nucleus. Very good, Ayushi. Correct answer. Very good. Very good. Yes. Now, Let us move to our next slide. Now, the cell theory, what are the major, or we can say, what is the major point of the cell theory? That the cell theory state that all the living cells or the living things are composed of two or more cells, one or more cells, and the cell is the basic unit of life. The cell, new cells arise from the existing cell. That means if we are saying about the cell, definitely the new cells come from the old cells, and the cell is the fundamental unit of life. If we are saying that all the living things are composed of one or more cells, then definitely we mean to say that cell is the fundamental unit of life. Now, before going into the different type of the cells, student, how many type of the cells we know? We know two different types of the cells. One is the prokaryote and the other is the eukaryote. Now, what is a prokaryotic cell? Prokaryotic cells are the cells which are unicellular. Nucleus is poorly defined, or we can say true nucleus is absent. The word prokaryote means primitive nucleus. Pro stands for primitive and karyon stands for nucleus. That means the organism with a primitive nucleus. Nucleolus is absent, and the cell organelles, or we can say the major cell organelles like plastids, mitochondria, Golgi bodies are altogetherly absent. And if we are comparing it with the eukaryotes, most eukaryotes are unicellular and they have the well-defined nucleus. Why we are saying the well-defined nucleus? Because it comes from the word eu. Eu means modern and karyon means nucleus. So these are the organisms with the well-defined nucleus. The nucleus are definitely surrounded by the nuclear membrane and nucleolus is present. Most of the cell organelles are also present, and what come or which type of the cells are included within the eukaryote? They are like fungi, plants, and the animal cells. So before going into the details of the prokaryotic or the eukaryote, let me ask from the participants, what is the at least two differences between the prokaryotes and the eukaryotes? You raise your hand so that I can unmute you. Difference between prokaryotes and eukaryotes? Any two differences between the prokaryotes and eukaryotes we have also discussed just now? You raise your hand so that I can unmute you. Okay, Jyoti. Jyoti, you can unmute yourself. Yes, Jyoti, you can unmute yourself.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Jyoti. Yes, Jyoti, unmute yourself and speak. Okay, I think some connectivity issue from Jyoti's. Yes, Jyoti. Jyoti, unmute yourself. Okay, Sagar Sejal. Sagar Sejal, you can unmute yourself.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Sagar.
Sir,
Sagar.
Jyoti Ambola.
Yes, Sagar, loudly.
Sir,
Yes.
Sir Jyoti.
Okay, Jyoti. Yes.
Sir, in prokaryotic, the cells have primitive nucleus, and cell
Okay,
organelles are absent.
good.
And in eukaryotic cells, cells have a true nucleus, and cell organelles are present.
Jyoti, hold down. If you are saying primitive nucleus, what does the word primitive nucleus means? What does the word,
Sir, Purana.
why it is called primitive? Because it is not a true
Sir, the
nucleus.
nucleus is not.
True. Yes, correct.
Yes, sir.
Not
True
well
nucleus.
defined. Correct. Okay, good. Good, Jyoti. Correct
Yes.
answer. Okay, now you can look. Okay. Okay, fine, Jyoti. Correct. Very good. That means cells with the primitive nucleus, that are the prokaryotic. The cells with the modern nucleus are the eukaryotic. Most cell organelles are present in the eukaryotes, while many of the important cell organelles are absent in the prokaryotes. Here, students, an image with the different cellular components you can see in this image. What is the main thing which you can observe over here? Just a minute. That is the nucleus of the prokaryote is called nucleoid. The cell remains surrounded by the cell wall, and flagella may be present, which is important for the locomotion, and the ribosomes, that means the protein factory, they are definitely present over here. But if we compare the eukaryotic cells, true nucleus is there, nucleolus is also present, then cell membrane is also there, chloroplast is present with the other cell organelle like Golgi apparatus, mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum. These all are present over in the eukaryotic cell. Okay. Now, let us come to a comparison between a plant and the animal cell. Student, before going into the comparison of the plant and the animal cell, can anyone say to me why the plant and the animal cells are not same? Why the cells need to be differentiated? Even both of them are living, then why we are calling in NCERT also, we have seen that as we will be going into the discussion of the plant and animal cells, but before that discussion we need to discuss that why there is a differentiation between the animal and the plant cell, why this type of the cells, both are living, but why this differentiation is there? Can anyone give the answer through the chat box? You can reply. Through chat box. Sagar, you answer through the chat box. Okay, Sagar. Okay. Okay, organization. Okay, in one word we can say yes, organization is different because the functional aspect has to be different also. Student, if we compare the plant and the animal cells, see what is the similarity between the both? Both have a nucleus, cytoplasm, plasma membrane, Golgi apparatus, mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum, and ribosomes. But if we compare them with the differences, definitely first point comes in the shape. The animal cells do not have a fixed shape, but the plant cells do have a fixed shape because of the presence of the cell wall, definitely. Animal cells don't have the cell wall. The plant cells have definitely the cell walls. Plant cells have the larger vacuoles. Vacuoles are the empty spaces, but the animal cells do not have vacuoles, and if present, the vacuole necessary to be small. Animal cells do not have chloroplast, but the plant cells have chloroplast. Animal cells, the stored food is the glycogen, plant starch, and centrioles are not present. in the plant cells, but it is present in the animal cells. So this is a brief differences between the plant and the animal cells. That is a comparison table. Now, before moving into the cell organelles and their functions, let me once again ask you what just now we have discussed. Can anyone recite or recall the three differences between a plant and the animal cell? Three differences between a plant and the animal cell. Okay, again, Sagar. You can unmute yourself, Sagar.
Sir, plant cell have cell wall and animal cell have not cell wall.
Okay,
Plant cell have mm, big vacuole and in large number, and animal cell have a small vacuole in a small number.
okay.
Also, plant cell have chloroplast and animal cell have not.
Yes, definitely the plastids, the cell organelle, the plastid. Okay, good, Sagar. Very good.
Yes, sir.
Remaining students, so many participants are there. I think, let me check once again the list. Okay. Okay. Okay, yes, just I have checked the list of the participants. Okay. Yes, now, okay. Megha 9F, you can unmute yourself, Megha. The same question to you, Megha. 9F, Megha 9F, that is the differences
Yes, sir.
between, Megha, difference between plant and animal cell, any three difference?
Yes, sir. Animal cell, cell wall is absent. Plant cell wall is present.
Good.
Animal cell, the vacuole are many but small size. The vacuoles are few but large size.
Very good, Megha. Next, yes, Prakhyat, 9E Prakhyat. Unmute yourself, Prakhyat. Prakhyat, unmute yourself. Prakhyat. Prakhyat Raj, unmute yourself. Okay, Himanshu, unmute yourself. Himanshu. Himanshu, unmute yourself.
Yes, sir.
Himanshu, what are the two differences between prokaryotic and eukaryotic cell?
Sir, prokaryotic cell is the large cell.
Okay,
Eukaryotic cell are small in size. Prokaryotic the size of 1.10 mm, or eukaryotics 10 to 100 mm.
okay, okay, good. Yes, Siddhant. Siddhant, unmute yourself, Siddhant. Unmute yourself, Siddhant.
Yes, sir.
Siddhant, can you tell me about the
Yes,
cell
sir.
theory? What the cell theory states? What does the cell theory says? Did you got my question, Siddhant? I repeat my question. What does the cell theory says?
Yes, sir. Sir, all the plants and animals are composed of cells, and the cell is basic unit of life.
Okay, cells are basic unit of life. The body is composed of the cells. But one more point you have to say, that is the cell, all the cells are derived from the pre-existing cells. Okay, this point need to be discussed, that all the cells are derived from the pre-existing cells. Okay. Okay, Siddhant, good.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you can unmute yourself, Siddhant. Okay, good. Now, students, we are moving ahead with the chapter of cell with the cell organelles and their function. The first, the most important, that is the plasma membrane. The plasma membrane is the cell membrane and it is the outermost covering of the cell. Here, student, once again, let us show you. Yes, if students, we are able to see this diagram. If you can see this is a cell membrane or the plasma membrane, that is the external boundary. Though in the plant cell, the plasma membrane is also surrounded by another boundary which is called the cell wall. So definitely the cell membrane is the outermost covering of the cell. Okay, next. Students, though this diagram in class 9 NCERT, it is not included, but just to make you understand that how the plasma membrane looks like. Actually, student, what is the structure of the plasma membrane? It is a lipid bilayer. It is a lipid bilayer. Why we are saying lipid bilayer? Because in this diagram, you can see this diagram is called the fluid mosaic model of the plasma membrane. These two are the lipid molecule, this yellow colored. Okay. How it looks, I'm also drawing parallelly. This is a lipid molecule. This is a lipid molecule. Okay. So there are two layers of this lipid molecule. How many layers? Two layers of lipid molecules. Two layers of lipid molecules are there. And in between the lipid molecules, proteins are inserted. The proteins are inserted in between the lipid molecules. That is why the plasma membrane is called the lipid bilayer. It is also called the sandwich model because in the sandwich we can see two breads are there and between the two breads either the vegetable or cheese or some other materials are present, and that is why we are saying the plasma membrane to be the lipid bilayer, or we can even say the sandwich model. So it is made up, if you are saying the plasma membrane is composed of two components, what will be your answer? All the participants through the chat box to give the reply. If we are saying plasma membrane is composed of two components, major components, what will be your answer? Through the chat box, you give me the reply. Richika, you can do one thing. You can disconnect and again rejoin. I will allow. Disconnect and again rejoin. Very good. Proteins and lipids. Lipid and very good. Atul, Nisha, Jyoti, Anupam. Okay. Lipids and protein. Correct. Very good. Lipids and protein. Remember, student, this is a very important question. Means usually asked in the examination that what are the two components of the plasma membrane. Very good. Protein and the lipid molecules. Good. Now, the most important thing about the plasma membrane, previous conception, or we can say previous terminology regarding this was that plasma membrane was called semi-permeable membrane. Semi-permeable means, permeability means the materials are passing through it or not. If you are saying it is permeable, definitely that means it is allowing the material to pass through it. But previously it was said that plasma membrane is semi-permeable membrane, but this is not accepted now. Nowadays, we don't say plasma membrane to be semi-permeable, rather we say it is selectively permeable. Why it is called selectively permeable? Because it allows selected material to pass through it. It doesn't allow all the material to pass through it, but it allows selected materials to pass through it. Now, how a material will cross the cell membrane? There are different mechanisms, either by diffusion. So, some substances like carbon dioxide, oxygen, the gases can move across the cell by process called diffusion. But the flow will be from where to where? Definitely, the flow will be from the higher towards the lower concentration. Always high to low, the materials are flowing. High to low refers to the concentration of the molecules. Okay. Now here, students, I would like to link up this chapter with your previous chapter also. That is, we have gone through matter also, matter in our surrounding. Can you demonstrate an activity to show diffusion? Or can you demonstrate an activity to show how the diffusion is possible? If you are saying diffusion of the gases, let me reconnect this chapter with the chapter 1, that is matter in our surrounding. Anyone? Raise your hand. How? How you can show the diffusion of gas with an activity? Through an activity, how can you demonstrate the diffusion of gas? Raise your hand so that I can unmute you. Okay, for this, let me select the students. Okay, Jyoti again. Okay, Atul. Atul, unmute yourself and please share one activity which can demonstrate the diffusion of gas. Yes, Atul. Atul, unmute yourself.
Yes.
Yes, Atul, please share with us an activity which will tell us regarding the diffusion of gases, so that we can also, we can share with us that how from high concentration to low concentration it is moving. Yes, Atul, you got again muted. You can unmute yourself, Atul. Okay, I think some connectivity. Okay, Siddhant, unmute yourself.
Yes, sir.
Siddhant, go ahead.
Sir, sir, food, so air particles of food.
Air particles. Tell me, okay, air particles you are saying, and day-to-day life activity you can say, which will show that how the diffusion of the gases is occurring.
Sir, when the food is hot, we can smell it in no time. But when the food is cold, we have to go close to have smell of it.
Okay, correct. Very good, Siddhant. Correct. And one common activity also, that is if in a room we are spraying a perfume at one corner, we can get the smell of that after a while in all the corners. So we can easily say that the gas is diffusing in the air from a high concentration to the low concentration. Okay, correct. Siddhant, good. Yes. Now, after this, students, another mechanism by which the transportation of the materials across the cell membrane can occur is osmosis. What is osmosis? It is a movement of water molecule, and we will be saying here definitely it is possible the liquid medium through such a selectively permeable membrane. And if students, you can see in this image, the demonstration is shown for the osmosis. Water is taken in a beaker. The blue dot indicates the water and the pink dot indicates the sugar molecule. Now in this beaker, a semi-permeable membrane is given. Now students, see, this is suppose side B and this is suppose side A. Now, the concentration is of sugar is higher on which side? Through chat box, you give me the reply. The concentration. Okay. The concentration of sugar is higher on which side, A or B? A or B? In the image which you can see, B, very good. So the flow of the water molecule will occur from B to A or A to B. From B to A or A to B. Okay, yes. So we can say the concentration of the water molecule is higher in A and lower in B, but the sugar concentration is higher in B. So the movement of the water molecule is occurring, and you can see that where the concentration from the, yes, from the low to the high concentration. Okay. Okay, just a moment. Okay, students, our time is about to end for today's class. Today's assignment for you all will be, you will practice the diagram of the plant and the animal cell. Okay. And you will bring out the difference between them. Okay. So thank you, students, for today's class. Thank you all.